I've honestly wanted to do something like this for a while now, but I haven't found an iceberg chart that hasn't been covered until now. Unfortunately, whoever posted this deleted their account, so we don't actually know who made this. If you've somehow never seen an iceberg chart, basically the stuff at the top will be more well known, but as you go deeper, the stuff will be more obscure. Major spoilers for the entire Sopranos TV show ahead, obviously. And with that, let's get started. Therapy scenes are boring. I guess this is just referring to fans finding the therapy scenes of Tony and Dr. Melfi boring. I mean, to be honest, I really haven't seen many people say this, but whatever. Wannabe mob dudes who idolize Tony. Tony Soprano has joined the ranks alongside characters like Tyler Durden from Fight Club and Walter White from Breaking Bad as characters who people idolize for being cool and edgy, even though the point is usually not to idolize these people. Tony should have whacked that character. I mean, I guess this is referring to people saying Tony should have killed certain characters people find annoying. I mean, I honestly don't know what else to say about that. The ending didn't make sense. The Sopranos has one of the most controversial endings in TV history. Following the death of Phil Leotardo and once he's made peace with the Lupertazzi family, Tony and his family decide to go out for dinner. Tony watches as his family members come in one by one, as well as eyes other people around the restaurant, mainly a man in a members-only jacket staring at him. The man goes towards the bathroom while Tony's daughter, Meadow, parks her car outside. Just as you hear the bell ring at the door, Tony looks up and the screen cuts to black. About 10 seconds later, the credits roll. Ever since this episode aired, fans have been constantly debating about what happened. Personally, I think Tony was killed by the members-only guy. Tony's dreams have no real meaning. Tony has had multiple surreal dream sequences throughout the show, most notably with the episode The Test Dream, which has a dream sequence takes up almost half of the episode. I guess essentially is just saying that the dream sequences have no real or definitive meaning are just meant to be analyzed and discussed, or just meant to be surreal. Tony x Dr. Melfi. Tony and Dr. Melfi have some minor romantic tension, especially in the earlier seasons, as Tony struggles with the hot thought of her and him being romantically involved. Everything paranormal can be explained. There's definitely some kind of paranormal entity or force that exists in the universe of The Sopranos, such as the cat that keeps staring at the picture of Christopher, or even when it's moved, or Polly being freaked out at his seance. Essentially, it's just saying that those paranormal entities have rational explanations, which I don't entirely buy based off of stuff that has happened. Carmela is such a bitch. This is just saying fans don't like Carmela? Personally, I kind of see it as a situation similar to Breaking Bad with Skyler, mainly just how the fans of both shows view said characters. They're just, they are basically like characters that are like, I don't like how you get your money, but they still kind of comply with whatever their significant other does, just because it pays the bills. Not enough murder. This is just referring to fans saying that there's enough murder on the show, but there's nearly 100 deaths on the show, most of which are done by other people, so it's like Analyze This. Analyze This is a comedy crime film starring Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal, released in 1999. The film follows a mobster having panic attacks and visits a therapist to see why. It also deals with the mafia and its state in the present day, two topics that The Sopranos deals with. While they are pretty similar, I feel like it's important to note that the pilot for The Sopranos was really originally shot in 1997, so it's not like they ripped it off to create the show or anything like that. Racist boomer interpretations of the series. Some themes in the later seasons of the show focus on racism and homophobia. I guess essentially is just saying that people interpret it as if it's supporting that stuff when it very clearly isn't, which prime example of that is the Vito storyline in season 6. Gabagool. One thing The Sopranos is most known for is the different random things the characters say at times. Gabagool is the most known of these, which is most known for what Tony refers to dried meat as. Tony is killed at the end. This is the most likely outcome of the ending of The Sopranos. There are many factors and hints that come into play throughout the final season that suggest Tony would be shot at the end of the finale. I'm not going to get into all of these. I'll probably explain a couple later in this video, but there's probably other videos out there that you can watch that prove that Tony was killed. The Sopranos is about psychology. One main focus of the show, especially in the earlier seasons, is Tony's interactions with psychologist Jennifer Melfi. This focus on psychology and morality and other topics are what make The Sopranos different from other crime dramas, in my personal opinion, and just in general what kind of helped in order to perpetuate these more ideas that are seen in most modern TV shows today. Pine Barrens is the best episode. Season 3, Episode 11 of the series, Pine Barrens, in which Polly and Christopher get lost out in a snowy forest, It's widely regarded as one of the best, if not the best episode of the series. It has the highest IMDb user score out of any episode, with a 9.7 at the time of writing. The ending has no meaning whatsoever. This essentially suggests that the ending of The Sopranos means nothing. It doesn't say that Tony died or that he's forced to live in paranoia for the rest of his life or anything like that. It's just ended. And our time with Tony and his crew is over. And that's it. Tony is a sociopath. Tony Soprano definitely shows sociopathic tendencies throughout the series. He regularly cheats on his wife and has no problem with all the different criminal operations he runs. Despite all this, he seems to show an empathetic side, clearly loving his family and friends, and caring for animals. I believe he's more likely a partial sociopath, more than anything else. Carmela is just as accountable as Tony. This entry is basically just saying that Carmela is just as accountable as Tony for her connections to the mob. Personally, I disagree with this. While she may know some of Tony's criminal activity, she never really gets involved with specific details, or it's not like she's a part of the crew or anything like that. The ducks represent Tony's family. In the Sopranos pilot, a family of ducks move into the swimming pool of Tony's home. He becomes somewhat attached to them, feeding them and stuff. When the ducks eventually leave, Tony's upset, and this later adds on to his panic attacks. The ducks, as this entry suggests, represents Tony's family and his fear of losing them. Alright, I'm just going to be doing this one for these two entries, which are the audience relates to Tony / they should not be able to relate to Tony because he does immoral things. Which, there's different ideas on relating to Tony. Personally, I think that if you relate to a fictional character or just anyone in general, you aren't going to relate to every aspect of them and their actions. You can relate to Tony's issues, like related to mental health and all that, but not to his actions and the stuff he does. Kevin Finnerty. During the first episodes of Season 6, when Tony is shot and falls into a coma, he has a dream in which he is no longer a mobster, but a salesman in California traveling for a conference. While in California, he accidentally swaps his items with a man named Kevin Finnerty, who he also looks like. This is a multi-episode plot which ends in Tony nearly dying, which in the coma is represented by him almost entering an inn, but seeing a helicopter with a spotlight shining down, representing the hospital lights. Many people have theorized what this could mean, and to tell you the truth, I don't entirely know what it means either. Weird transition effect in Season 1. I'm pretty sure there isn't anything like this in Season 1. In Season 5, Episode 10, there's a moment known for having a weird transition, which has left fans confused about why it's even there. Lady Gaga cameo. In Season 3, Episode 9, Lady Gaga has a cameo as one of the girls who's there when AJ and his friends thrash the swimming pool. Tony's coma arc. This is something I mentioned earlier with Kevin Finnerty. At the beginning of Season 6, Tony is shot by Uncle June and falls into a coma. And that leads to the whole dream sequence with Kevin Finnerty. I've heard some people say they didn't like this arc, but honestly I thought it was pretty good. CGI Livia. Before the filming of Season 3, Nancy Marchand, the woman who played Livia, unfortunately passed away. Livia dies in Season 3, Episode 2, but David Chase wanted her and Tony to have one last conversation before she went, so they used past clips of her with CGI to make this scene. While I can really respect why they did it, the CGI really hasn't aged all that well. Adriana reincarnated as a cat. There's a theory that Adriana, Christopher's fiancée, who is whacked for being an FBI informant, reincarnated as a cat that appears in the series finale who constantly stares at the picture of Christopher at Satriale's. Personally, I think if we're going to go with this reincarnation theory, Christopher might be the cat, since it only appears after he dies. Christopher was cursed. I guess essentially it's just given the idea that Christopher is cursed in some way, possibly by supernatural forces. This can be supported by Chris's near-death experience in Season 2, Episode 9. Members Only Jacket Hitman. The Members Only Jacket guy, nicknamed Mog by fans, is theorized to be the man who kills Tony in the finale at the diner. My theory is that he most likely is someone who did that, and he's someone who got out of prison and needed some cash, so he took up the hit on Tony. Members Only Jackets seem to be associated with Hitman throughout the show, so it is most likely that he was the one who killed him. Bobby foreshadowed Tony's death. In Season 6, Episode 13, Bobby and Tony talk about what they think it's like to be shot in the head. Bobby says,
"You probably don't even hear it when it happens, right?"
This clip was played again in the penultimate episode following Bobby's death and Sylvia falling into a coma. In the finale, the sun cuts black further supports the theory that Tony was assassinated. Dr. Melfi leg fetishization. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I honestly don't want to get into it. Porco. Porco is a YouTube user who uploads clips in Sopranos and a telenovela called El Señor de los Cielos. He seems to have a lot of respect from Sopranos fans for the stuff he's uploaded, despite recent crackdowns from HBO and YouTube. Every character is a horrible person. Essentially, he's basically saying that every character, mobster or not, is a horrible person. Personally, I disagree, as I think everyone on the show's morals are different in how they go about things and such. Some are perfectly innocent, while others are hardened criminals. David Chase is satirizing American culture. The Sopranos seems to be a combination of many things: crime dramas, philosophy and morality, and social commentary. One of these aspects seems to be a satire on American culture, which can really be seen in the environment the characters live in, and with characters like Agent Harris. The Sopranos is about existentialism. In the later seasons of the show, this idea becomes more apparent. More supernatural forces seem to come into play, and characters have discussions on topics such as morality and what happens when you die. Shot-by-shot analysis of the ending. I'm honestly not sure what this means. I guess it's just referring to an analysis of the final scene of the show. I mean, I already said what I think earlier, so I don't think there's really any need to touch on this again. Cryptid sighting in Season 6, Episode 4. I don't really know what this means. When I first searched Sopranos cryptid sighting, I just got results relating to this episode, but I couldn't find anything about cryptid sightings, so I don't know. Help me out in the comments if you can. I apologize for the somewhat abrupt ending, but this video has been in production for a while now, and I don't want to go another month of not uploading. Don't worry, there's still a lot to cover, and we will in part 2, so stay tuned.